Hello, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be going over 3 ACT math questions. For all these problems, I recommend pausing the video and trying them yourself first before you see me solve them. Without wasting any time, let's get into it. Question 34 says, if 3x minus y over x plus y equals 5 over 8, then what is the value of x over y? So for this question, how I would start this question off would be to cross multiply. And I'd do that so we can actually just completely get rid of the fraction. And this makes it easier to solve and get x over y. So let's cross multiply. So that would be 8 times 3x minus y equals 5 times x plus y. And now we can distribute. Okay, so you get 24x minus 8y equals 5x plus 5y. Okay, now let's get the x's together and let's get the y's together. So let's subtract 5x. So you get 19x minus 8y equals 5y. And now let's get the 8y to the other side. Plus 8y. So you get 19x equals 13y. So now since the x's and the y's are together, let's see how we could manipulate this to find the value of x over y. So what I notice here is that I'm trying to figure out the value of x over y, right? Which means what I could do is divide this right side by y, and then I would get 19x over y equals 13, right? We have the xy thing we're looking for, but this 19 is still here. So how could we get rid of the 19? Well, you could multiply both sides of the equation by 1 over 19, because 19 times 1 over 19 is just 1, so the 19 will cancel out on the left side. And if you multiply this side you also have to multiply this side of the equation by 1 over 19. You get x over y equals 13 over 19. And that is what we're solving for. So our answer to 34 is G. On to the next question, 36. 36 says that the piecewise functions f and g are given. F of x equals negative x squared for x less than 0, 1 minus x for x greater than or equal to 0, and then I'm not going to read g of x, but that g of x is that. So first, I just want to review what a piecewise function is, and then we'll solve the question, which is asking what is the value of f of g of negative 1. So I've actually went ahead and graphed f of x to show you guys what a piecewise function is. So piecewise, like in its name, it's basically just a function broken up into pieces. So for anything less than 0, f of x is going to look like negative x squared. And for anything greater or equal to 0, it's going to look like f of x is going to look like 1 minus x. So this is what a piecewise function is. And as you can see on the right here, when x is less than 0, it looks like the graph of negative x squared. The left side looks like the graph of negative x squared. And the right side looks like the graph of 1 minus x, when x is greater than or equal to 0. So that's basically what a piecewise function is. Going back to the problem, now we can solve this. So let's work from the inside, right? And then let's make our way to the outside that's how you should approach every composite function question. So first, let's figure out what g of negative 1 is. So we're going to plug in -1 for x here. But look, there's actually two expressions. But it clearly says when you want for x greater than -1, use x minus 3. And for x less than or equal to -1, use the absolute value of x plus 7. Since we're trying to find g of -1, we're going to use the first expression, absolute value of x plus 7, because -1 is equal to -1, which matches this, right? So let's plug in -1. G of -1 is going to equal the absolute value plus 7. The absolute value of -1 is just 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. So g of -1 is 8. Now, we can replace g of -1 with 8 here. So which means we're just trying to find what f of 8 is, right? Same logic. Let's go up here. We're going to replace 8 with x. We're going to use the 1 minus x, the bottom expression, because 8 is greater than or equal to 0. It's greater than 0. So it's going to be 1 minus 8. F of 8 equals 1 minus 8. And 1 minus 8 is -7. So the answer to this question is G. On to the last question, which says, given that f of x equals that expression, which of the following expressions is the inverse function f inverse x? So for this question, you should always follow these 3 steps. One is replace f of x with y. 2 is swap x and y. And 3 is solve for y. So let's do that. Let's do the first step. Y equals our expression. Okay. And now let's swap x and y. So x equals 2y minus 1, the cube root. Okay. So 2y minus 1 raised to the 1/3 power. And now if we solve for y, we're just going to cube this, right? If we cube this, then the cube root will cancel out because this can be rewritten as 2y minus 1 raised to the 1/3 power. And if we cube this, remember you multiply exponents, so this is just going to be 1. If we cube the right side, we also have to cube the left side, so it's going to be x cubed equals 2y minus 1. And now this is pretty simple. Add 1 to both sides. X cubed plus 1 equals 2y. Divide by 2 to solve for y. So y equals x cubed plus 1 over 2, which matches answer choice C. I hope my explanations made sense, and thank you for watching.